All right, we'll bring this meeting to order. I've got some minutes for approval. I've got a meeting with the treasurer from July 16th. I've got the road and bridge July 16th and also the road and bridge July 30th to approve. Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the aforementioned, which was what month?
July 16th for treasurer and road and July 30th for road.
As stated.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, all right. Very good. All right, Bear, all yours.
Okay. Well, as we discussed last week, we have this signage issue down on Southern Lane and Whitehall and near that Sunny Slope subdivision. Looking into it a little bit more, our signage is correct as far as the way the roads are laid out. We've seen some different things on the survey that me and Ladena and Melissa are gonna talk through. Melissa had just emailed me back right before this meeting, so I gotta kind of talk some of it out with her. But that Prairie View Road that the gal with the complaint lives on is a private road. So our recommendation for now to her is gonna be put up private road signs. If you don't want people to drive on it, that's the best we can recommend, because otherwise we're gonna have 10 signs on that intersection with arrows pointing every direction. And it's just not feasible for us to do. Cause Southern Lane, as you see, it goes up and makes the right, and then the left, it goes up through. What I glanced from Melissa's email that I just got, that road was there and established long before either of the subdivisions that are there was built. That's an old road, so that road was Southern Lane prior to anything else being there.
The one that's marked.
Marked
correctly.
Southern correctly on that.
This north, the east road was.
That one there is the Prairie View, I believe is what they call it.
Prairie dog.
Prairie Dog. That's private. They can do what they want on it, but it's not really our responsibility to control the traffic on their road.
So how do we put a four-way sign on that four-way road to make it clear that Southern,
So,
that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Sign.
so on the bottom right, with the, so the southeast corner, we can put a Southern for the northeast road, or sorry, the north and south road. And we can put a Southern with an arrow to the right,
Going east, okay,
we can,
and then.
but then on the southwest, we would have to put an East Street
With an arrow
with an arrow.
and nothing on the north.
It, you know, we could put one for the 911, but again, it's a private road. They're supposed to sign their roads.
That's Prairie Dog or something?
Prairie Dog,
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
you can do a four-way street sign with,
well, we'd have to put multiple signs up, and you know, that's when we're gonna start putting 10 signs and arrows up there directing traffic. But
you don't just usually put one sign with the, like a flag going this way and a flag going that way,
you know,
4 different ways. Can't do that.
usually we just put up a Southern Lane sign, because the county road ends at that intersection.
Okay.
Where it continues to the right and up to the north is not county road, it's just public easement.
Oh, gotcha.
So we don't necessarily sign that. It's never been an issue in the 20+ years that that's been a road. It's just now become an issue.
So what you're saying there, Bear, is on the east side, Southern Lane, that's where it stops. That's the end of the county right there.
That
Right at
four-way
junction, right?
intersection is where Southern Lane ends
Where
at
it
the
ends.
county road, from the survey map that I got from Ladena yesterday. So if, on cadastral, it actually shows that north-south portion of Southern, East Street over and then up into some parkland as county property. But on the survey, that east and west portion of Southern going up, it just shows it as a 30-foot easement on the map. It does not show as county road or county easement or right of way. It's something we've never maintained. We've never done anything on it. It's just considered public road.
Okay, question on my part, because I got a phone call yesterday on this from that individual. And if you want, I can deal with it from here, let her know, or would you like to? If not, I'll be glad to do it. It's not a problem.
Well, our frustration is we've told her multiple times over the last week that we were
Oh.
working on this.
Okay,
She came to the office last week while I was in Helena chasing parts and talked to Dylan, who happened to be there. And he told her that he was on the phone with me and told her
Sure.
and said, we are working on it. We'll provide you an answer as soon as we have one. There's no need to call every day. We will call you as soon as we have something figured out. And she's still,
She's confused. She's got you and I mixed up because she said, I've been to your place twice in the office and talked to you and this and that. I figured it was you.
I've
dealt
never
with
talked to her directly,
Me either.
but
This was the first I've ever heard.
our office has talked to her and, we've told her we're working on it, but this is not
Okay.
an easy resolution. Because of
No,
just the way the roads are and what's public and
because
private.
if you're good with it, I'm ready to just tell her, yeah, that's a private drive. All due respect, you're the one that's gonna have to post out as such and the county will take care of their incident and so on.
Yep,
You good with that?
yeah, I don't,
I'll call her.
so
Might be
we're
wise
working on it.
Or to put some kind of fencing that's a little closer to the road, so, I mean, if she doesn't want people going through there,
A gator.
narrow it down.
He's, the original complaint is that the way we have it signed is causing people to drive in for a fence, and I'm not.
Or drive into her
See, and
fence.
she never said anything about fence.
Yeah.
so. I don't know. I don't see how.
And maybe that message was relayed to me incorrectly, but that's the way it was relayed to me, is that she's had multiple people hit her fence because
Okay.
we have the wrong sign up, which it's not.
Hmm.
The sign's been that way since before it was a subdivision.
Has she put a private drive up there, road sign yet? Okay.
There
it's not
are
like
no
she-
other signs up there. It's not marked as Prairie Dog. There is no signage on that intersection other than our four-way stop and our South and Indian Street signs.
Okay, so that, it sounds like a simple fix. You just
It is, just.
Probably
put
just
the
start with
sign-
signs,
Yeah.
private drive,
Mhm.
Prairie Dog
And
Road
the
or
county will do
whatever.
their side of the thing, or what they,
So,
okay, I'll take
so if
care
you
of it.
wanna take care of it, if you
I'll
know.
do that
her.
after we get done today.
Yep.
Okay. Little Boulder, the washout repairs that was done by the Forest Service contracts, I am not impressed.
Okay,
I've got pictures and unfortunately they just were not uploading correctly. I've got to call into the Forest Service to see kind of what they want to do or how, if there's anything to do. I'm not. To me, it looks like they just dumped some rock in the holes and pushed it over. And I'm not real impressed with it. I think they're gonna wash out again the way they did them. I was under the impression at Elder Creek, they were gonna actually fix the road and the channel of the creek
Mhm.
back into one channel. So there was one crossing, everywhere that the creek could wash the road out, they just turned those all into hard surface crossings.
you dumped a bunch of
So,
rock.
yeah, there's like 5 crossings right there at the campground.
Is it my understanding? I don't know. I haven't been up there, but they didn't even go as far as they were supposed to up the Moose Creek.
Well, they
That's
went all
what
the
I-
way up.
They did go all the way up? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you used to be able to get a trailer pretty far up there,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't get one. I don't know if you could get one to Elder Creek right now.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty rough just to get a pickup through there.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you could do it. I mean, I had my work truck all the way up to
Yeah, that's what I want to know, because
up past your cabin. I've had one up. You
What do you
can have
have?
your truck up there. You just want to be cautious.
Okay.
It's not that you can't do it, but I've seen trailers up quite high.
oh, no, you're right.
And
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to do it now. Some of the work that they've done where it's a little iffy, I wouldn't say that it's iffy, but they've done a lot of water bars across the road to help with the drainage that are pretty steep, that would kind of inhibit a trailer, but I agree with what they've done there, that kind of needed to be done to prevent for future washouts.
Did they improve the road all the way up?
They didn't really improve the road.
Just
They
put those
just
water
put the
bars?
wa- That's pretty much what they did,
Okay.
is a couple areas they went and kind of smoothed it out and put in some water bars, and then they dumped in the rock in the crossings, and that was about all they did.
Okay.
They left quite the mess, in my opinion. It's pretty ugly up there with all the places they dug into the bank and did their work. But there are a couple of the areas where the washouts happened. The big one that we had fixed for them the 1 year with the culvert. It's probably about 10 feet narrower, the road, than what it originally was. It's pretty tight now, where it used to be a pretty wide section of road. So I've got to call into the Forest Service. I just haven't heard back from them. I'll reach out to them again after this meeting and see what we can do to get something better done up there, because all of those crossings, the rock doesn't go up into the drainage. There's a couple of feet on the uphill side of exposed dirt, and while that water comes down again, it's just gonna wash underneath and around that rock and wash it all out.
Yeah, that's all
So,
right. You got a maintenance guy you can talk to, or you're gonna talk to Leahy, or?
Oh, I'm gonna try Jeremiah again. He's the road boss.
Okay.
If I can't get a hold of him, cause he may be out on other projects, I'll reach out to Tim before the end of the day. If I can't get a hold of Jeremiah, so we can get
Is it my understanding that they were from Stevensville?
I don't know.
That's what I heard from subcontractors.
yeah, I don't know who did it, but I think they went in and just did it as fast as they could to get the job done and collect the
I was
paycheck.
surprised to hear it was done that quick.
So Hills Brothers, we've had a call for grading again. We've been out there a few times. It's not bad. There's some slight washboard, but I can still do 30 across it without even thinking about losing control of the truck. It's not bad. We're not gonna get back out there right away, but I just wanted to let you know that the last time we had a complaint from the same individual, we were out there within a week or so and had it regraded, and I mean, it's just,
Just
we
falls
can't,
apart.
it's the way people drive on a hill, it's gonna happen. Hopefully, I mean, I'm hopeful that we can get some dust pods on it before this winter hits, but I don't wanna go out and regrade it with the hope that we're gonna be able to do that in the next few weeks, but I'm also not gonna jump and put a blade on it every other week.
Right, yeah. We gotta figure out some hardening for those bad hills where the washboards immediately.
Yeah. So as far as some crew updates, we've been jumping around all summer. Montana City guys the last week, we've had a couple helping the Boulder guys haul off of that drainage up on top of the Whitetail. We got a lot of material hauled out of there. Really looks a lot better. There's somewhere for the water to go now. I'm really excited to see what that does through the winter. I don't think we're gonna have the mud holes like we've had up top between the way we got that cattle guard set up as a drainage plus ditches on both sides of the road now. It's gonna be a lot better, a big improvement. So that'll be exciting. Plus we got a lot of just kind of free bank run material out of it.
Good.
Staged at the yard. The other half of the crew was down in Whitehall, helping them do some blade patching out there on the hot springs, that stuff we dug out earlier this year. We probably got to get another load or two in there. It got a little thin in a couple spots. We got to cap a little more.
Is that the stuff that's going to the south there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw that the other day.
But we got them up with the Boulder guys doing some blade patching on some stuff they dug out on South Hills today. We should get that done. Then we should be able to finish Hot Springs off this week. Again, Boulder guys were doing that. We did put in a culvert down by Buster's new pit there on the Elkhorn Road. Apparently he found a spring or something because he's got a lake in that pit. And now we ended up having a pretty good sized pond next to our road along that stretch.
Oh, nice.
So we just put in a little 12-inch culvert to help drain that shoulder of the road across so we didn't get soft spots. Helping with the traffic control today, and then, yeah, we had haul guys helping back and forth. As you notice, we went and got that truck Friday. That turned out to be a pretty good deal. I mean, already 20 miles a gallon is just amazing that we are getting that out of a truck. Pretty smooth process, so. Got a meeting Thursday morning with the BLM up on Highor. They had just had some concerns with that section that Rusty had done a little bit of reshaping on the road. Again, I don't think that we had pushed any more into the creek, but we're gonna go meet with them. I gotta reach out to Rory. He had mentioned at one time that all that fencing along there was put in due to some sort of reclamation project years ago and was supposed to come out like 10 years after the project. But I can't find any kind of agreement or documentation that was ever put in place with that. So now the BLM is kind of complaining about the fence having windrows pushed up against it. So I'm going to reach out to him again today and see if I can find out or get some more history on that before our meeting on Thursday. But the other issue with their fence along that road is it's along right on the edge of the road. We have zero room to do our maintenance and it's in our right of way. So
That's a BLM fence.
yeah, apparently it is. So the gal that reached out to me, she's the interim district chief for the BLM. I guess the one left or retired or something. So she's not real familiar with the history of anything that's going on up there. This was just a complaint by somebody else that she's following up on. She's really nice and easy to talk to and work with. And so it's not like a big fighting match between us. We're just getting together to kind of go over and see what we can do on it.
BLM's usually good to work with.
Yeah. And then I did sit down with There's a chick from the Boulder Monitor yesterday. He had seen our Facebook post about the road work in Jefferson City and just asked for some quick info about what we were doing. I said, well, I'd rather sit down with you and tell you the why and what, and all the information about it, because it's gonna upset a few people if I don't. So we had a pretty good conversation about that. A couple weeks ago, I got the estimate from McCarty Creek, and I forgot to bring it over. But they're looking about 30,000 to survey from the end of where CBU surveyors gonna do the power line all the way over to Turley Meadows down to the Elkhorn Road to get that all tied in. So not as cheap as I was hoping.
How much is it gonna cost them to go from the parking lot to the,
That'll all
to
be,
the,
I think that's all done.
that's all done?
So I think from the Upper Valley to the culvert was already done when a few years ago.
Okay,
And then CBU is covering, and I think they've already done it,
Hmm.
from
the
that culvert up to
power line.
following the reroute to the power line.
Okay,
So all of that will be done, and then we just gotta cover from there up and over to the end of the road. But we're looking at about 30 grand.
wow, okay. Did, we get a chance to look at the rock slide up there, or the devil's slide, or whatever they call it, if we're gonna have to do anything there before we actually get it surveyed?
Have not been up that far yet.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely need to look at that before we do a
Yeah.
survey.
Then we can still, once we can get up to that point, we can tell them this is the way we want the road to go, even
Mhm.
before we do the work.
Sure, yeah. Good. Shelley, are you on there, or could, down to the end of our agenda here, a time, if you wanna talk to us about anything? You're on mute, there you go.
No, not at this point. I think there's open comments later this afternoon about anything.
Yeah, on our regular agenda for our business meeting, is that what you're talking about, or?
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll be public comment in our afternoon meeting.
okay.
At 1:30, so, yep,
All right, thank you.
thank you. All right, you got anything for Bear?
I do not, Mr. Chair.
How about you, Bob? You got anything for Bear this morning?
I do not, Corey.
Okay, I only, let me look at my list here. I had requests for Old Alhambra Road, our little piece that goes from what we do to where, what is it right there, state section? They said it's getting pretty blown out again. Do we touch that at all, except for when they request it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so so I believe Becky Hammond is the gal's name that lives right there below Mrs. Gruber's house.
Mhm.
We usually go to her driveway,
Okay,
or just past her driveway with a grader at least once a year. Not something we've done in the past. Usually that we've not done it
Right.
because the last time we did it, the crew was trying to think of the proper politically correct terms, but they were told by the neighbor not to blade that. That it was not a county road and that they were not supposed to be on it. And it caused a bit of some hostilities with the neighbor. And then they said they don't want it bladed because of the people that use that road to get to the subdivision, makes them drive faster past the houses.
right,
So we told them that it is county road to the state. They don't agree, but we invited them to prove to us that it's not. But yeah, we just bladed that. I mean, I guess it's probably been a couple months, but
well, next time you're up there, take a look. I got people that live in that subdivision that are griping me, can you please just hit that, it's getting terrible. And as soon as it gets really bad, then they start driving around it into the people that are griping about us not blading their property, so. So yeah, if you wanna take a look at that. It's not too much of a priority, but
we'll definitely take a look more in that area. So I don't know how soon we'll have a blade up there, but we'll definitely take a look at
yeah,
it.
no hurry at all. I mean, it's just their little private
Mhm.
entry into their subdivision, so. And, the other thing, Steve Marks requests that if you reach over into his, I know it's probably in the right of way, but you've been reaching over his fence to clean culverts with a, I don't know if it's an excavator, a backhoe or whatever, if you just let him know, he doesn't mind. He said, you're doing a good job, everything's good, but it would really help him out if you just gave him a call, hey, we're gonna clean culverts up your meadow or whatever there. Just to let him know, if you could do that, just, I think if you just got a good line of communication, open with Steve, he'd hush down a little bit, he wouldn't be so frustrated, I guess, if you can just, when we're doing stuff up there or whatever, you know, touch bases with him and let him know, I think he would greatly appreciate that. He said he went up and fixed the culvert that got crushed, I don't know if the tree that fell over there got crushed or how that got crushed, but he sounded like he just took a piece out of it, so it wasn't plugged up or.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, man, maybe we were looking at the wrong one, cause he had called me about it and Dylan, and then went up to look at it, and they said there was. Everyone that they went and worked on that week, none of them had any issues with them.
Nothing was, yeah, I don't know.
So I don't know if there was one that had an issue that we hadn't been on that day or something that week, I don't know what it was, but.
It could be,
you know,
so. And I was up there last week at some point, whatever road goes by Steve, their Love Gulch Road, was looking pretty, I mean, the washboard, we're getting a lot of foot deep up there.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be time to start hitting these roads, and that's, so. Kind of our goal and hope and plan is as soon as we get done with this mill with the dust pods. Is to just start blading roads, but instead of using just straight water, we're gonna be mixing dust pods in with it and blading them with that. Then kind of see how these things hold up through the winter and into the spring with it done that way. Some of the stuff like that lower section of high ore, the majority of that, we did that hill on the whitetail last week, and there's a couple little spots that washboarded again, but I mean, we're talking 10-foot sections instead of a whole hill. But some of that's getting packed in pretty dang tight. So we're thinking it's gonna work pretty good.
I went up and looked at high ore, cause I was driving by there, and the section you did is amazing. You drive up there, a little bit of dust flying up, as soon as you got off that, it's just like, boom.
Yeah.
Dust like crazy, so it's definitely making a difference. I guess you'll see if it holds the road together, that's the most important part.
Yeah, and I think my optimism at a bare minimum. Is if we can go in the spring and do our initial spring grading with dust pods instead of water. That it holds that road together through the summer or through the year. With limited dust, and we don't have to reblade it again, except for maybe a couple little small sections, and that will free up so much time. Instead of having to grade 2, 3, 4 times a year.
Yeah, that would be great.
And that'd be a bare minimum. I mean, best case scenario, it holds up for a couple of years and we don't have to worry about it.
That would be good. I'm interested to see how the milling part of it does up, is it Corbin?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'll have a lot better results because we get a lot better mixture of the material. I know it'll hold up better from what I've seen. It does a lot better job than what we've been able to do with just a grader. But even the stuff that we've done with grader, you know, a couple of like Hot Springs, I'm not super impressed, but it has made a difference. High ore and the whitetail, I'm pretty impressed with what it's doing so far. It's not a magic elixir, but it is a really good product.
It's helping. Does the roto machine, does it actually mix in the dust pods, or it actually injects it into that?
So they got a big tow bar in the front of the mill, and it hooks onto the pintle hitch of the water truck. There's a hose that hooks to the truck. So we've already got it mixed in with the water in the truck, and it feeds into the mill. As it's grinding the material, it's injecting that into the gravel as it's milling. So as it's weighing it back down, it's got a nice, good, even mat that's already been injected and mixed with good saturation.
Nice. Okay, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
So I think that's gonna be our struggle with just doing it ourselves with a blade, is it's not gonna get the penetration in there.
Yeah, and with the mill, we're still only doing the top about 4 inches, and we're getting pretty 3 to 4 on most of the ones we're grading, but you just don't get the mix quite as good. You get wet spots and dry spots is the problem.
Yeah, just depending on what the road surface is.
Yeah. But we're also working on building a different spray bar for one of our water trucks right now, because I gotta try and take a video of it, but when you watch this come out of our water trucks right now with the big booms, it doesn't come out like normal water. It doesn't just spray out, just because it's really kind of gooey, and it comes out just kind of like almost stringy. So you get heavy spots and light spots. So we're building a spray bar. We got the nozzles on order to help try and get a more even spray, and that'll really help with, he's done it quite a bit with other counties. It'll just help us get a lot more even saturation with the product, so that'll help us a lot too.
Good. New product, gotta experiment with it and figure out how to use it. Hopefully, hopefully it'll help.
Just out of curiosity, up on the Corbin Road, do you have to use more of it there due to the weight as for the vehicles that are going up there? No matter, it doesn't matter.
No, it'll be the same amount, because if you start putting too much into it, it's just gonna dry up and turn back into a powder.
Oh, okay.
There's kind of a sweet spot with their mixes. If you don't do enough, it doesn't really do anything. That's like what we saw in the hot springs is we had too much water in the blend, so it didn't really bind as good as we hoped. But like on high order than that, we put more of a concentrate to it and it worked a lot better.
Have you heard anything about the state doing a mill and fill on I-15 on the north end yet, or are they still?
Well, last I heard, it is not on the radar.
Is the passing lane there by Jeff City's almost knocks your teeth out? I don't know if you've driven it, but.
Yeah,
It's
last
getting
I
very
heard,
bad.
it's not on the radar. Yeah.
That, Jersey Rail or the guardrail ate their budget, I guess, huh?
Yeah, and so they had the mill and fill project planned for, was it Cardwell Hill and that for this summer? They're not doing that one.
Really?
Due to budget issues.
Man, the state's a lot of money, you'd think they'd be.
Guardrail project, I believe they had on that one is potentially not gonna happen as well, because they were gonna do, new cemetery. And I don't believe that's at this point, so.
Huh, that's interesting.
Morning.
Morning.
Hello, how are you doing?
Commission meeting.
This is the Commissioners Road meeting, you bet.
Thank you. Walter Hanley.
Hi, Walter.
Glad to meet you.
I'm Corey Kirsch. Nice to meet
Glad to
you.
meet you.
This is other Commissioner Dan Haggerty, please.
Glad to meet you, Dan. Bob here today?
He's online. Yeah, he's got a cold he's fighting and
Oh,
Hiya, Walter.
hi Bob, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy.
Oh,
the other thing I had, Bear, was, one of the residents that lives off Depot Hill Road said, thank you for putting culverts in and improving what you've done up here already. So he said, appreciate that. He was just wondering about the entrance to the cemetery, if you're planning on doing anything to that. I don't know, it's like a 2-track or something. I'm not sure if he did anything or planning on doing anything, but he seemed to think it was a problem that since we're up there, we might look at that, at least the entrance part of it. I just thought I'd throw that at you since he hit me up on it.
So I've got to get up there and see exactly what they got done. I know what I had told them to do. Part of it is dependent on, we had talked about doing that retention pond and kind of fixing that drainage issue. We're still kind of working on some information with that. So we're that part of it's kind of on hold because I want to put a culvert right about where that cemetery entrance is across to that pond if we're able to
Okay.
do that.
All right.
Sort of kind of on a holding pattern on that, but they were supposed to do they were supposed to do a culvert across the gentleman's driveway below it, and then a little bit of a retention and some drainage to help get the water from the cemetery entrance to flow into his underneath his driveway, so it didn't wash out across there.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was done the way we had discussed, but we did have some discussion about it. I
Okay.
just haven't made it up there.
Well, just when you're doing that project,
Yeah.
just take a look at that. I'm not sure what it looks like now. I haven't been up there. I should have stopped by and looked at that, but yeah, just so that's on your radar when you guys are improving this, that I don't know if they use that road once in a while, but sounds like it's in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, I mean,
Doesn't look like it gets used very much either. It
yeah,
looks like all
are we
weeds
supposed to
there.
go in there and grade it up, or are we,
Yeah.
I don't know that, but
For the one car.
it has been washed down a bit. We've pushed it back some,
Okay.
but it was mostly the fact that it washed out and was draining onto the road, and then the driveway below had no culvert, so it was washing across and cutting that driveway out.
Oh, okay.
So it should have fixed that with what we've done, if it was done the way we discussed.
All right.
But again, we've got other hopeful future projects in the works that will help alleviate some of that as well.
That almost looks like the entrance there, almost looks like there's a gate there, huh?
There's two of them.
Oh, okay, makes a loop. Cool.
And that might be
alright.
the other thing, is to get rid of the one and put just a loop road up inside of the cemetery to come out the same
Same
upper
way,
road
yeah.
to help separate those two driveways.
Yeah, that might be good, they're right there together.
Next time I'm up in that area, I might go take a look at that, see about redoing that, since it is county property, it's kind of up to us to.
Right, make it the best we can, yeah,
do that.
absolutely. Very good, very good. All right, anything else for Barry? I think that's all I had for him.
Now, Walter may want to bring up his issue this morning.
Okay, Walter, is your issue a road issue?
Yes,
It is.
Perfect, all right.
I'm Walter Hanley. I'm retired. I worked for Rocky Mountain Development Council for 30-some years, serving Broadwater, Jefferson, Lewis and Clark counties all over the place, but I live up on Sidewinder Loop, which is just this side of Montana City, and there's two entrances. The one closest to the north up there, and then the one down kind of down by the creek down there on the south end. And all these years, the traffic down there has gotten worse and worse and worse because of all the new developments, the homes. I mean, it's just gotten incredible down there. And when you come up from the condos down there on your right, and Charbonneau's Road is on the left there.
What are you talking about?
Oh, you got a map of it?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
wondering if you're talking about Stony Brook, is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about? Okay, so Sidewinder's close to Stony Brook there. Okay,
Right.
there it is.
There's
right
Sidewinder right there, and there's Stony Brook.
there. Yeah,
Well, when you're coming from Stony Brook, you're going up that hill, and about where your arrow is, right about there, you come over the top of the hill, and it's about, I would say, 100 feet to the exit to Sidewinder Loop there.
mhm.
And I'm telling you, when you pull out there, you better be
watch
ready,
out, huh?
because they're coming up there 65, 70 miles an hour.
Mhm.
And I told my wife, she can't go that way anymore. She has to go all the way around and come out on the top one because you can see better.
Yeah, up here you can see better for sure, yeah.
But it's really bad. And, you know, the speed limit is 55. It's 50 all the way up to the underpass there. And then it goes to 55. And then it goes to the top up there where the daycare is, right under that hotel sign, and it goes to 50. And actually, coming down, it says 55 up there.
Mhm.
But I'm wondering if we can request the state to do a review of that and get that speed limit down before we have a real bad accident. We have had some accidents there, and one lady in a van got smacked there, and she kind of was lucky she didn't go off, because on the east side of the road there, it goes down quite a ways in that creek.
Pretty good hole there, yeah.
But it's very difficult, and you know, I have at least 2 to 3 incidents there every week. And even coming the other way where you can see really well, I've got to turn in, and I usually go down there about 40, and I have to get down to about 15 to be able to make that corner.
Mhm.
And what happens is people are passing you on a double line. And then they can't see somebody coming from the other direction. I almost got in a 3-car wreck there last week.
Wow.
Cause the guy was in the other lane, and here comes somebody this way going, and he cut back in, and then he almost caught me with the rear end of his truck.
That's on the highway, 282?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's a difficult situation, and I've researched and talked to Bob about it and understand what the problem is with the state and trying to get things done, but I guess it can't hurt to ask, because I really do feel that there's gonna be some problems there. And I know myself, if I don't look to the left where I can see and look back to the right before I go,
Mhm.
I'm in trouble. If I look to the right and go to the left and then go out, pull out,
Yeah, you might-
they're gonna be right there.
Wow.
And they come and they honk at you and they flip you off, and they're,
You're pulling out in front of 'em.
blinking their lights and passing on the double line all the time.
You say it's 55 through there?
Yeah, and
They're
you know,
driving 70 or?
yeah, and you know, the road from here all the way, or from Clancy all the way down, is 50
Mhm.
until you get to just past Stony Brook there.
Okay.
You know, or no, this side of Stony Brook,
Mhm.
which I didn't even realize that till I came down to pick up some mail for my wife a couple weeks ago, and I said, man, it's 50 that far up, and then you get that to there, and there's more and more traffic, and it's 55. And it's just, you know, I started kind of looking at it the last week or two, and on the other side, where you go down McClellan Creek to go to the transfer station and that area, it's 25 down there.
Right.
And really, that's what it should be up here, because you've got 2 daycares, you got all those houses on Sidewinder, you got all those developments and all the housing on the other side, and all those people are going on that frontage road. They don't come back to Clancy and then go down the interstate. There's a lot of traffic on that road. There
Oh,
really
sure.
is.
What, do you think it needs to be changed, the speed limit, Walter, or do you think it needs to be enforced better? Because what the state's gonna do, they're gonna go out there and see what everybody's driving, how many cars and how
Yeah.
fast they're driving, and they kinda, instead of looking at it as what the speed limit should be, they look at it as what are people driving. I mean, that's a silly part of the whole thing, but they do that. So, I mean, if they're driving 60 instead of 55, it's always a good possibility that the state's gonna say, oh, let's raise it to 60, because that's what everybody's driving anyway, so. It's kind of a goofy process, but that's what they
Yeah.
told us, that's how they work it.
I
So,
looked it up, and then, you know, there was like 6 criteria for how they do it, and
Mhm.
you got one of them. Well,
Yeah.
one of them too is sight, you know, view.
Sight distance, yeah.
And you just don't have it there.
Mhm.
As far as law enforcement, you know, I have you guys on my website and on my phone and stuff, and your law enforcement people are up to their necks
Oh.
without having to worry about,
True.
you know, screwing around with that little portion up there in that part of the county. I mean, there's so much going on down here between Basin and down by Whitehall. It's just, it's a nightmare. I don't know how they do it as good as they do. So, you know, to ask those guys to be able to do that, and they go through there occasionally. I see them, I can see that road from where I live up above, and I see them come through there once in a while, but I think they park up at the fire department there sometimes, and
Yeah.
then they go that way, but I just can't see where you could ask your law enforcement people to do any more than they already do, because
Yeah.
it's really tough.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
kind of
go ahead,
wonder
Eric.
if there's a way with the increased ADT through there with the businesses and residential behind Three Brothers and all that, if there's a way to get that reduced, cause I mean, even just going into that business park to RDO and different vendors I go to, it gets pretty treacherous turning in and out of there.
Oh, it does.
You know, and I've driven past your road and it's,
I was talking to the guy from Iowa Automotive the other day, and he says it's really tough with them too, and they're way up there on the other end.
What's the speed limit through the populous area there? Is it still
It's-
35, 40?
it stays 50 or 55 until you get right about, I think it's Hardware or just past Hardware Cafe that it turns
Really?
down.
Yeah,
Right
it
before-
turns 50,
It's right before the roundabout, I think it does drop, but it's
Yeah.
right before.
and it goes from 55 to 50, right, kind of by that first daycare on the right.
Okay,
And then you hit the roundabout another.
yeah, I'd
2
say
blocks.
it's probably
I
about
think
time
you
to
could
get
look
that
at it.
updated.
Some of the urban standards, cause I understand it's not an urban qualifier, but I think there's enough traffic through there that a case could be made that it meets criteria for urban traffic.
Sure.
You know, there's another huge subdivision down here on the west side. And there's an awful lot of houses in there, and there's only 2 ways out of there, and it's coming onto this frontage road or else going up to Jackson Creek. There's another exit too, and awful lot of those people come out onto 282 on whatever that road is there. And I would say there's at least 50 or 75 houses in there. It's a-
So what would be a request, Walter, as far as where you want this study to start and where you want it to end? I mean, would you want?
You know, it makes sense. I think should start somewhere by Stony Brook and end up by the
By the
roundabout.
intersection,
Yeah.
okay, Stony Brook up, okay.
You know,
I
and
would argue that's Pico Road.
I don't know, you know, if you're supposed to suggest a speed limit or whatever, but on the other side, of course, where McClellan Creek is, they're 25 over there, and
Right.
it would make sense if you put it at 25, they're gonna be going 35 or 40 anyway.
Right, absolutely.
The one argument they'll have against that is that there's a school on the other side on the,
Yeah, and we got 2 daycares though, and all
But they
within
don't
the-
classify a daycare as a school zone when they're looking at their criteria.
You know, anything would help it to try to slow them down.
I agree. I think it's a bad spot.
So typically when we do a speed study, we end up doing public meetings, so. Probably a good thing to do is just get with your neighbors and anybody else that'll support this, cause we don't want a bunch of people coming out screaming against it, cause that doesn't help the conversation any when we're trying to get it reduced and people either want it the same or even faster, so that might be something you look into, but we can sure request a speed study. It takes at least about a year to actually get to where they get caught up with what they're doing to get it
Sure.
done, so it would probably be next year sometime before they do it, but.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's, might as well start it now.
Yeah, it's not
Wait
gonna get
another
any better,
year.
that's for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I really appreciate your understanding of what's going on up
Mhm.
there. I have a lot of good things to say about what goes on with what you do, the fire department and your law enforcement.
Sure,
They really do a good job.
yeah, they do.
I mean, you guys are got a lot of area.
It's a big county, that's for sure.
Oh, man. It really is. I don't think people realize how much there is down here.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Bear always gets complaints about roads and he has to remind them how many hundreds of miles we got.
Oh,
837.
I don't know how you guys do in the winter time, beyond me.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, Walter, well, thank
All
you
right.
for coming in.
Well, thank you for listening. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
You bet. I'll talk to the other commissioners and make sure we're all in agreement, and we'll send a letter to the state and see when we can get put on the list.
Okay, and you know, if I could notify all the people up there too, if you have a public meeting, if you let
Yeah.
me know when it is, I'd be glad to. We've
Yeah,
got a manager down there and
okay,
he put out a notice and a lot of them would show up.
perfect. Yeah, we'll probably have a meeting up at the fire hall up there or something and look at
Oh,
everybody's
great.
comments and,
Okay,
all righty.
thank you, Walter. Thanks for doing a good
Thanks,
job.
Thanks, Walter.
Nice
guys
to
are
meet
great.
you.
You too. See ya.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Walter.
You walk like me.
You've ever heard the old expression, make the change in someone else?
All right, thank
I've done a
you.
lot of hard things.
All right, Bob, I'm switching meetings. I'm gonna have to have you log in again.
Okay.